Discovering voices, building worlds. The Ampliverse.
Welcome to Harry Potter and the Anxious Millennials, a show where we delve week by week into each chapter of the Harry Potter series. 안녕하세요.
Annyeong.
This is a new setup, a new little gig we've got.
Yeah, I know. And this one is also temporary because we won't be here forever as well. So I'm like, there's not really much to show except this really nice, like, starry night tapestry I've got over here. This
Absolutely. And the Andromeda Galaxy, yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, there's not really much in here.
How is the UK?
It's getting warmer now. Like spring has sprung. We went to a garden center today. But it's not like, it still is like rainy and stuff. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't rainy for a long time, but it has been rainy the past like couple days, on and off. So it'll be like super sunny and then rain and then like sunny again. So, but it's been nice. This week we read chapter 8 called The Hearing. Adam, what happens in this chapter?
Harry is tried for the crime of performing underage magic in front of a muggle.
Very well said. Great.
So the chapter starts and Harry is now he's in the basically he realizes that he is in the exact same let's say courtroom, for the lack of a better term.
Sure.
That is from Dumbledore's memory of when Barty Crouch Jr. was like crying and Bellatrix was screaming. He's like in the same courtroom.
Yes. As we improv'd here on this pod.
Right. And so that's like weird. And then they're like, "You're late." And he's like, "Sorry, no one told me."
Yeah.
And they were like, "Well, we sent an owl." So this is my thing.
No excuse.
So owls don't work then. Because if you sent an owl, but Harry didn't receive the owl, baby.
You're saying at Grimmauld Place specifically, or just owls in general don't work?
Well, they wouldn't know that he's at Grimmauld Place.
Yeah,
owls wouldn't go there.
They went to Privet Drive.
But then an owl should have headed, like, while he was like walking around London with Arthur, an owl should have dropped something off on his head or something.
Right, like, so Hedwig is the only owl that knows where. Yeah, Adam, that's a great point. I didn't even really like clock that. I thought they were just like, I was assuming the message that had been sent was the one that Perkins was conveying.
The only thing I can think is that they sent an owl to Harry's proper address at Privet Drive. So maybe that's what they meant, and that's why he didn't get it.
If that is what they did, that honestly would make more sense in terms of like why he didn't know.
But it feels like generally in the wizarding world, you send an owl and you just say to the owl, like, "This is going to this person," and they just know where they are.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I'm willing to believe that. I'm willing to like go and be like, owls are magic. They know.
Yeah.
They're GPS trackers. But then it's fine. They're Find My Friends. Yeah.
Yeah, Find My Friends. Owl Find My Friends. But maybe it's just Hedwig because she's his familiar. She's the only one that
she'll know she knows where everybody else is too. Like he'll be like, go to Hagrid. Go to Sirius. Sirius is the one where it's like,
Sirius.
How are you finding Sirius?
Genuinely, how? Yeah. I don't know. I still don't know.
So I just was like,
yeah, what?
I wish it had been a little more clear. Or it had been an obvious, like, oh, we sent an owl, but they clearly didn't send an owl. Like, I would have been fine with it being like, we're lying and saying we sent an owl, but we didn't send an owl.
Yeah, but I bet there was a letter that was sent to Privet Drive because they just assumed he was there.
It must be Privet Drive. To give the benefit of the doubt, I'll say it's Privet Drive.
But Adam, wait a second. He checked into the ministry early in that morning.
Yeah.
So there was an actual paper trail of him at the ministry.
Right.
So what is going... This is where it's like, Joe, you need to be more specific because now we're just like okay, how are you tracking an underage wizard? What is the magic that exists? Because it's like, if you can see who casts a spell as an
Mhm.
underage wizard, you should then be able to like follow them or like track them if they move somewhere. It's just too.
I've got lots of questions about registration coming up in
Yeah.
this very
Yeah.
chapter. So anyway, so
Ugh.
Harry, there's a chair in the middle of the room. It has like chains attached to it, and he remembers from the memory that he saw of
Yeah.
Dumbledore's that they like bind whoever sits down. So he's very nervous when he sits down, but it doesn't. They like shake a little bit, but they don't. They decide he's not a threat.
I guess.
Fudge and Percy are there in the very front row. There's Fudge is there. To his right is a monocled witch, who we later learn is Madame Bones.
I forgot that she had a monocle. Did you remember that?
I did not
totally
remember that.
forgot that.
I love that she has a monocle. And at one point it looks like she's described as like digging into her skin. And I was like, how did people
Oh,
use
yeah.
monocles?
Girl, they just like frowned. They were just like cockeyed. wait, do I have it? Wait. I don't have anything that's like an actual monocle for obvious
You don't
reasons,
you don't have an actual monocle lying around, Ari? That's so weird.
No, this is too big. I was gonna try and like I can't frown so I have something like lodged in my eyebrow and like under eye.
Yeah. I have no idea. It's very impressive. And then there's another witch sitting on the other side of Fudge, who's in shadow. We don't see her face just yet, but she'll be important later.
That was so dramatic. I was like, okay, what? Can't we just reveal her now?
Yeah.
She needs a reveal, girl.
A reveal. But also, there are like 50 people who are on this court. So when I did not remember that it was this high of a number, when we had talked about Dumbledore being part of the Wizengamot.
Yeah.
So, So, yeah, I was like, oh, that's too many people for a court. I know
Yeah.
that in America we're like, we should pack the courts and put a bunch of liberal justices on the bench because there's no defined law of how many
Pack
people
the
are
courts.
right. But 50 people is too many people on a court.
Why are they all there for Harry? Well, I guess that is just because it's yeah.
So anyway, it's wild. It's a big ordeal.
Yeah, it definitely is.
In the bowels of the ministry. But
Yeah.
yes, Percy is also there, which is it's such a bummer. It's such a bummer.
I know. I was just like in that when I was listening to good old Jim Dale read this part and how he was like Harry like just kind of automatically expected some acknowledgement. I was like,
know.
first off, that's very like that 15-year-old energy where it's like obviously he's heard what's happened with Percy, but he's just so used to his previous dynamic with him that it's like when you see someone that you're kind of used to being like, oh hey, there is that initial moment of being like, oh right, we're not. Oh yeah. Yeah.
It sucks.
So I was like, oh, sorry, Harry.
So they're introducing, they say like, you're Harry Potter, blibbity blah, this, that, and the other.
The boy that needs no introduction.
Right. And then Albus Dumbledore comes out of nowhere for the like face crack of the century. It's giving
another reveal. He was also in the shadows.
It's giving All Stars 2 when they're behind the mirror, and it's
the two-way glass.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden they're there.
Yeah. It's great.
I love how they never did that again, girl. That was just for that.
Just the one
season.
time.
They never brought it back.
They knew they could never make it better because Alyssa's face when she's like,
yeah, I know. It's
so good.
I loved her on Pit Stop, girl.
Oh,
I
yes.
was like, yeah, bring her back. I was like, where has she been? I love
so
Alyssa
funny.
Edwards.
Albus comes and he is going to be Harry's witness. He's going to be a witness on Harry's behalf. And they're like, "Oh, sorry, we don't have another chair." And Dumbledore's like, "It's okay. I'll just pop this one up. Let me show you what this chair looks like. I have a photo of a
You
chintz
physically looked it
chair."
up. Oh my gosh, great.
Because
I'm
I was
ready.
like, "What is a chintz chair? I've never heard of this term before." And I can tell you, it is gay.
Gay. Oh! Oh, yes. This has Albus written all over it. Are those
Yeah.
birds?
Yeah, I
Wow.
think it's like
I'm
birds,
here
and
for it.
it's like a
Yeah, it's like a
beautiful
parrot or something.
floral, poofy.
I'm here for that. Give me one of the. Not really.
It reminds me
Maybe
of
in
the
the
chair
patio.
that
Maybe on the patio.
in the movie, in the 6th movie, when they go to get Horace
Horace.
Slughorn. It looks
Yeah.
like the chair that he's like disguising himself as.
His is like pajama pattern though.
Yes, his is like a
Yeah,
pin,
yeah.
kind of like a
Which is
striped.
so great. That's so smart, by the way.
Yeah. So anyway, so he conjures up this chair, takes a seat. It's very funny. The image is very funny of it being like a very dark, dank,
Yeah, and
dungeon
then
like
this.
courtroom,
Yeah.
and then like a floral armchair.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um So they talk about like what happened. So they're like, "Is it true that you are Harry Potter? Did you do this magic in front of a Muggle?" Da 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 da. So they're basically like just letting him say yes to each thing, so they can kind of be like, "Well, you did all of it, so we're throwing the book at you."
Mm.
And my question is like, they keep being like, "You did it in front of a Muggle," but it's the Muggle he lives with who knows he goes to Hogwarts.
Yeah,
So
right. That's like, what if
it's
you're a Muggle born?
it's Muggle with privilege, right? Like Muggle
Yeah,
who
good way of
knows
saying it.
about like it's not there has to be different classifications of Muggles. Like there's Muggles who don't know
Yeah.
anything. There's Muggles who have to know because they live with the person who goes to school or
Yeah.
is a witch or wizard or whatever. Like Hermione's an only child, but if she had a sister, a
Yeah, she would
la Lily
Lily.
and
Yeah.
Petunia, like it's a different
Yeah.
type of I don't know.
It's just weird that that's the thing that's like kind of the crux of why it's like, well, regardless of whatever the situation is, you're just going to be in trouble no matter what because it was in front of a Muggle. It's like,
Right.
well, if this was a random Muggle like out in the world, fair enough, but it isn't.
Right.
So yeah, I feel like that defense isn't going to hold up.
Yeah,
It's not
I
going to hold
mean,
up.
it's impossible to even argue about what they're doing because they're purposefully trying to like.
Yeah.
This is
Right.
unfair from the beginning.
Yeah, they're just not on his side in any way. So
But I was like annoyed, and I really wanted Harry to be like, "Yeah, the cousin who lives with me, that's the Muggle
yeah,
girl." I wanted him to
my
say
cousin who
"girl"
knows,
to
yeah,
Cornelius
who
Fudge.
who had a pigtail transplanted
Right,
onto his bottom previously, and whose tongue turned into tongue-tied taffy or whatever it was.
right.
Tongue taffy.
Yeah, poor
Poor Dudley.
Dudley.
Yeah.
And then in the movie, he got stuck in the glass enclosure with the snake.
Yeah.
Poor Dudley.
At
Well, no,
risk.
the snake wasn't there
At-risk
anymore.
child.
The snake
Yeah,
was
the
gone.
snake was out, sure, yeah.
So anyway, they're like, so you conjured a full Patronus, and Madame Bones, who's the monocled witch, she was like, "You can conjure a full Patronus." She's like gagged.
Adam, this makes no sense. They are wizards. Why are you wearing a monocle?
Why does anyone have glasses? Why does anyone have glasses?
It just makes no sense.
I
Girl.
love the idea that like disability doesn't exist, right? Like she's made that clear
No,
of being
yes.
like nobody's disabled, but people have visual disability, which is
Although, are there any other people that have visual disabilities other than Harry, Adam, that we genuinely
Dumbledore.
hear about?
Dumbledore has half moon
Okay.
spectacles.
That's true. Okay, and Professor McGonagall, I think, sometimes wears glasses, doesn't she?
I'd have
Or
to
maybe that's
double
just
check.
in the movie.
I don't remember.
Maybe that's just in the movie. But so it's like older people, it's normal for them
Trelawney.
to have.
Trelawney wears glasses.
Trelawney. Okay. Yeah, you're right. Okay. Harry's just the only kid.
He's definitely the only student who wears glasses.
Maybe that's why, Adam, maybe it is for students now. Maybe they have found a cure, but because Harry's Muggle-born, no one's going to help him get his LASIK, his wizarding LASIK surgery. LASIK charm. Oh no.
Anyway, so Madame Bones is thoroughly impressed that
Yes,
Harry can
about the
conjure a full
Patronus.
Patronus at the tender age of 15 years old. And she like won't get off it. She's like, sorry, wait, just to be clear, it's a
Yeah.
corporeal Patronus. What we're saying right now, I'm sorry, I just
Does it take
slay.
a shape? You see, yeah. I'm sorry, tell me. I need to know about your Patronus. This says a lot about you.
Yeah.
It's like your sun sign.
Yes, it's very that energy. She was like, and
What's your
what's
rising
the animal?
sign?
What's the animal? A stag. Okay.
There's like a girly that she's friends with afterward that she was like, did you hear?
She
A
like
stag Patronus?
she like sends her Patronus text message to her
Yeah.
friend who's like, "Oh my god, Harry Potter's Patronus is a stag."
Whoop. Wow. Yeah, she loved that. And also, he could do it even before he was 15.
Yeah.
He was even younger, girl.
He was
13.
13. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, good for her.
Yeah, she was excited.
I
She
like
was
Madame
gagged.
Bones in this because she does seem objective, which is good. It would be
Yeah,
it would
she
be a
seems like a
huge
good
bummer
egg.
if like everyone seemed like they were against him.
Yeah, I know.
So Harry explains that the reason he conjured the Patronus because it felt like they were just bulldozing over all his answers. He just like shouts out that there were Dementors in the alley, and that's why he conjured the Patronus. And Fudge is like, I'm fucking sure. I hate Cornelius Fudge.
Yeah, he's like, this is really not a good look for him, and I've never really been a fan of him anyway. Just
Right.
because it's like we know what type of person he is, but it's just like
he's in his villain era.
Yeah. I'm in my villain era. Him and Mistress. Also, Adam, I love every time Mistress says, gather her. I'm going to steal. I love that saying now. Honey, gather them. So good.
Anyway, the Wizengamot needs to be gathered.
Yeah, gather them. Dumbledore.
Oh, he will.
Gather them.
So I just like Fudge this whole chapter. Fudge sucks, right? But like this chapter, I was like, you are really laying it on thick, bud. Like, who is on your side? More the thing of like, how is anyone else on the Wizengamot being like, this seems like it's being treated fairly? Do you know what I mean? Maybe that's why so many end up voting on Harry's side, is because it's like, it doesn't feel, I don't know.
Yeah, no. But it is weird that it's like,
he's being too obvious about it. If you're really trying to go out of your way and be like, someone's doing, or like you disagree with someone and you're using your influence of power in order to like make them seem crazy or whatever.
Yeah. You got to be more subtle, bro.
Girl, you are so obvious about this. This is a 15-year-old child. You yourself are calling him an underage wizard, and you're the one laughing at him. Like, it's a little crazy.
That's what I was going to say. And I feel like the sad thing about this is obviously there are real adults that like have these essentially like seemingly vendettas out against like children.
Yes.
Where it's just like, I'm sorry, you do realize this is like a 15-year-old kid, right? Like, even if you in your mind are like convinced that this kid is like trying to be malicious, which like it's Harry, so he's not. But it's like, if you genuinely think this kid is like making up stories or whatever, there still shouldn't be that type of response where he's like literally essentially trying to just ruin Harry's life.
Right.
Like that's literally what he's trying to do.
You seem like you're trying to goad Harry into like, I don't know. It just seems, I just like, if you're, listen, I'm not a bad person, but if I was a bad person, I feel like I'd be better at being a bad person than Cornelius. That's all I'm saying.
Well, it's weird because it's like, it's one thing for him to like act this way with Dumbledore, like fine, whatever, you like can't stand him now or whatever, you know, but it's like, yeah, the fact that he's acting like that with Harry, it's just, and no one is like calling him.
I mean, it sets it up so well because Dumbledore is so calm through this whole thing that's why it like is so good. And I do like, and we'll get to it in a second, but Umbridge is also like very calm, which is like kind of what's like really scary about her.
Yeah.
So I like the like juxtaposition of like Fudge and Dumbledore in their like their energy in this chapter.
Because it's a good example of why Dumbledore was preferred for Minister and that Fudge is very aware of that, and it's like
Right.
kind of like displayed without him even intending for it to
Yeah.
be displayed.
So at this point, Dumbledore has decided that he is Harry's pro bono attorney, and he has called Arabella Figg as Harry's testimonial witness to the stand.
Mm-hmm.
So she comes in. She has not changed out of her carpet slippers. How do we think she got here today? Here's
Wait,
the question: can Squibs use the Flu Network?
no, I don't think they can. But although it is like a magic substance, isn't it? So
Right.
I don't
It's the
know.
thing that's doing it. It's not you performing the magic. Unless saying the location is part of the magic, but like that seems
I'm gonna guess that Dumbledore like sidelong apparitioned her just to be
probably.
nice, you know, to like come and get her and take her back
Yeah.
afterwards. But I don't know. And also carpet slippers are like the little like loafer slippers. I
I
don't know
think
what
they're
carpet.
like these, like my slippers.
Oh, I never knew
Um
those were called carpet slippers. Cute.
uh so anyway, Arabella Fig shows up. She comes into the courtroom looking the way she does. So not a great start for Harry's like
Not the
defense.
best impression.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right. But it's fine. It's okay. And she takes a stand and they ask her like who she is because famously the reason they don't believe Harry as of yet is because it's a very easy story. I don't know. Okay, so Harry's defense is that Dementors came, so that's why he conjured the Patronus.
Yeah.
Now, very understandably, that's why you conjure a Patronus.
Yeah. No one's just
Period.
like popping out Patronuses.
Unless you're sending a text, obviously.
Attack. Yeah. Unless you want to send Patronus text.
Woo.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, a likely story. And I was like, why the fuck else? Like, why are you going to go for the hardest magic you can do? Wouldn't you just like impress a muggle more by being like,
Like Lumos.
yeah, whoa, crazy.
Wow.
Anyway, it's annoying that they're like, oh, yeah, I bet that's why you did it. Yeah, of course, that's why you do it. That's actually what the spell is for.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
what
know
it's
if.
for. It's literally why it was created.
Oh, so stupid.
Which there shouldn't have to be a spell in this world where we have to defend ourselves against something like a Dementor, but fine. Because you want
So
the Dementors to work for the Ministry.
so stupid. So then the other issue is that famously muggles cannot see dementors, so they're like, well, a likely story because no one's here to back you up that there were dementors on the street. So that's why Arabella Fig shows up. Okay.
Right.
So she takes us in and they're like, we don't have a registry of a witch or wizard living near Harry Potter. And she was like, well, I'm a squib. Okay, so there is officially a registry of
Yeah.
where witches and wizards live. Now that I understand because like you have to keep track of
Sure.
your witches and like fine, they do the census. Sure.
Yeah, the census.
But why are squibs not on the registry? That makes no fucking sense.
It's just essentially because they're a squib, it's just like they're not a part of the society. They're not seen as.
But like we don't know this, and I don't think we'll ever find this out, and I don't think it's explained anywhere. But like,
Yeah.
could a squib not have a child that's if a muggle if a muggle can have a child, if two muggles can have Hermione, couldn't a squib be a parent to like? Shouldn't you still keep track?
So that I think at one point, Adam, she said that Jo said that a muggle born is typically born because somewhere like there was a recessive gene from like one of their older ancestors being a squib who married into a muggle, married a muggle, and then they all had muggle children, and then eventually
It popped
a
out a
muggle
muggle.
born. Yeah, but it's because there was like a recessive gene in the squibs bloodline for magic.
So then, yeah, we should be keeping track of squibs because this is how you're ending up with muggle-born witches and wizards.
And then also like the phrase, then like the muggle-born phrase wouldn't even really work necessarily because it's coming from a magical, I don't know. We can't go down that road, but it's just like, well then it still is within the bloodline in that case, if we're
Yeah.
saying that. I don't know.
So stupid. Anyway, I was annoyed that squibs are not on the registry because squibs should be on the registry. They're born.
Yeah, why
They're born
not?
to a witch and wizard. Squibs should be on the
Yeah.
registry. Anyway, and also
can you do magic in front of a squib? Would that be fine, even though she's not registered? Like, where are we drawing the line?
right. How did they? Okay, here's the other question. Okay, how does the ministry know that a spell was performed in front of a muggle, but they don't know that there was also a squib right there, or even
Or
like
a
they don't know there's a
Dementor.
squib, but like a second
Yeah.
muggle if they think it's.
Yeah, great point. I feel like the are we supposed to, with the muggle situation, are we just straight up supposed to be like, this really has nothing, they're just using this as like a kind of bullshit excuse, basically?
Probably.
Because yeah, the muggle thing, that really does not add up in my mind. Like, I'm just like, but it's his cousin,
Right.
so who cares? Anyway,
So
you're right that we'll never know.
so Arabella gets a little flustered. She describes Dementors as big and wearing cloaks. Harry's like,
Yeah. Okay. So Adam. So she genuinely came to like lie. She didn't. That
no.
must mean
I
she
think
didn't see
no. I
anything?
think she's. I think Arabella Fig is a simple woman.
Oh, okay.
And when they say, "What does a Dementor look like?" she's like, "It's big and it's wearing a fucking cloak." I mean, like, what else is it gonna look like? She didn't see it up close either. She saw them like coming into the tunnel.
Right. She wasn't in the presence of like how
Right.
they make you feel, kind of. Okay.
So then it's clear that Bones is like, okay, and Fudge like snort laughs at her, which like again, buddy.
Yeah. Just like pretend
He's
to be a
absolutely
nice person.
losing it. He's losing it. I love what happens to him in the next book. Anyway, and so then after that, she describes the feeling of the Dementors of like feeling very cold and like the classic symptoms we know and love of like all the happiness rushing out of her, da 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 da. And so then
Yeah.
Bones is like, oh, okay, so you were actually there, because only people who have ever encountered a Dementor really understand what that feels like.
No, those feelings.
Some stuff I'm like, what's in books? What are in wizarding books? You know what I mean?
Whoever discovered Dementors or like first interacted with a Dementor, like must have notated what the interaction was like.
Yeah.
Unless they.
She's not saying anything so specific. I mean, like, I believe that we know Arabelle Philip was there, so like whatever.
Yeah, right.
Like, why?
Some people are just not very good at being descriptive, are they? Like,
yeah, but also like, what could she say that's more? Dementors are all the same.
no.
It's not like it's like, oh, the Dementor had a name tag on it. It's a gym. Like,
this Dementor was the head of operations. I don't know if you're aware.
Right.
Head of outreach
They're
to the Muggle
Dementors.
community.
They're all the same. Like, she could have come in and lied and just read a test, like what someone experienced in a book of what a Dementor feels like if you're near them, and then just repeated that. We know Arabelle was there, but like, she's not saying anything that I'm like, wow, I'm impressed by this testimony. Bones is impressed. God bless Bones.
Yeah. She must not think. Well, no. Actually, Amelia Bones is good. Never mind. I was gonna say she must not think highly of squibs, but never mind, because she seems to be a good one.
I mean, she. Well, anyway, so Bones believes her, and Fudge like dismisses the testimony. Basically, he sends Arabella out. She practically like runs out of the courtroom because she's so like,
yeah. She's like, get me out of here.
So Fudge pushes back on this idea that the Dementors just showed up in a Muggle suburb, because why would they? And so Dumbledore's like, well,
Yeah, this is
because they
great.
were
This is
told
great.
to. And Fudge is like, are you insinuating that the ministry told them to go? And he's like, no, I believe someone else is telling them what to do. And Fudge is like, well, we're not discussing that here. And then, because obviously Fudge doesn't believe that Voldemort is around at all, so Voldemort
Yeah.
can't be giving orders to Dementors.
No, what are you talking about?
So then Dumbledore is like, okay, well then let's take your logic train. Two Dementors were asked by someone, and if you're saying that the Ministry is the only one in charge of Dementors, then who at
Then
the
it would be
Ministry is
you.
in charge of sending Dementors to Little Whinging?
So
And
well
then
done.
Fudge is like,
He's Pinocchio from Shrek.
yes. And then Dolores Umbridge reveals herself. I'm
Yeah,
going to read
out
the
of the shadows.
description. The
Oh,
physical
yeah.
description
Here we go.
of Dolores
Here we go.
Umbridge.
Yeah, I know.
A character I don't like. I need to be very clear. Dolores
Yeah, we are
probably
not
is my
pro
least
Dolores.
favorite villain in this whole series. He thought she looked just like a large pale toad. She was rather squat, with a broad, flabby face, as little neck as Uncle Vernon, and a very wide, slack mouth. Her eyes were large, round, and slightly bulging. Even the little black velvet bow perched on top of her short, curly hair put him in mind of a large fly she was about to catch on a long, sticky tongue. She could have just been a woman. She didn't need to be like the creature from the Black Lagoon, girl. Like, I get it's a children's book, and in children's books, we love to like visualize evil as like ugly and like blah 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 to reinforce that idea. But like, the thing about Dolores is that you don't know that she's evil. So
Yeah,
I
no.
almost think it's like smarter that in the movie they just make her like Imelda
Yeah, Imelda
Staunton.
Staunton is not ugly at all.
Yeah, I love her
She's very
performance.
pretty.
She's so
Yeah.
good. But it's like, I feel like it would be a stronger choice to be like just a plain pretty woman. Not even
Yeah,
pretty,
right.
just like a
not
plain
not
normal,
memorable.
yes,
Yeah.
very unmemorable woman who's like Satan. So they go back and forth. Fudge and Dumbledore go back and forth on the validity of the Dementors. Fudge is saying this hearing is about the magic being performed, not about the Dementors themselves. So I don't even know why they're being brought up. And like, why is
That's
no
why
one?
the magic was used, bro.
Yeah. Also, like, why is no one like, because the Patronus charm is for a Dementor attack? Unless
no one
it's
says
not.
that.
Unless it's literally not for that, and it's just one of the benefits of the Patronus charm, and that's why I learned it. But like, up until now, the only reason we know the Patronus charm exists is to
for
thwart off a
Dementors.
Dementor attack.
Yeah. Exactly.
Anyway, Fudge is losing his mind. He brings up the hover charm used in book 2, but Dumbledore is like, Harry's like, oh, that was a house elf. And Fudge is like, oh yeah, I'm sure it was it's a Dementor, it's a house elf, there's lots of goings on, little whinging apparently. And Dumbledore's like, I can summon that house elf actually is employed currently by Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. I'm happy to summon him here and have him give testimony if you'd like. And Fudge is like, well, that's the point.
We don't have time for that.
I honestly wish he would have just summoned him, because then this wouldn't be his second charge.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing is like, we've told you this before, and that's why we're going to expel you. But like, you didn't tell me, like, you know, anyway.
Yeah, that wasn't me the last time.
But Fudge does not want to listen to a lowly house elf. God, sucks. He sucks.
Yeah.
And then he brings up how he blew up Aunt Marge, and then Dumbledore's like, yeah, but you like swept that under the rug. So
yeah,
you can't really bring that up in good faith when you were the one who decided it was fine, girl. And then Fudge fully crosses the line and is like, well, how about how he acts at school and all those bad things he does there? And the ministry, so Dumbledore's like, famously, the ministry can't expel anybody from Hogwarts, which is what I reminded you the night that this happened, which
Yeah.
is why Harry ended up getting 2 letters. So we got the first letter that was like, you're expelled, we're breaking your
Right.
wand. And then the second letter was like, JK, we actually can't do that.
Yeah, they don't have the authority.
Yeah. So I guess the only thing they could do is they could break his wand. They can't expel him from Hogwarts.
Okay.
Right? Because
Yeah.
that's what the hearing's about.
Yeah, taking away his wand. Yeah.
But then, like, can't you just get another wand? This is the thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
don't
understand the idea that the
know.
wand chooses the wizard, but I also understand that, like, people use wands that aren't their own. Like, it doesn't work as well, right?
Yeah.
Like, I get that. But, like, so Dumbledore is like, Fudge responds to this whole thing of, like, you can't expel Hogwarts students. And Fudge is like, well, we can change laws at any time. And Dumbledore's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I know you can.
I've noticed.
Because
Yeah, I've noticed, girl.
apparently in the 3 weeks since I was kicked off the Wizengamot, all of a sudden an underage student performing magic outside of Hogwarts is now a full criminal trial. And everyone is like,
Yeah, this is the one moment where everyone there is like, yeah.
I just was asked to be here. There's got to be some people up there who are like, I just had to show up. I don't want to do this. I don't
wanna
agree
be part
with
of
this.
Those 2 witches that waved at him.
Yes. Hello.
They were like, we're just here to see Albie come and slay this whole courtroom down.
Yeah. So that kind of shuts him up. I didn't even mention that, like, Umbridge has a line because it doesn't actually, it's inconsequential. It's more important that you just remember that she was introduced in this chapter.
Yeah.
So basically they convene and decide on a verdict, and more than half agree on clearing Harry of the charge, whereas
Mhm.
Fudge and Umbridge and a bunch of other people, less than half, but still like a number of people. It's not like it's just Fudge who raises his hand.
Yeah.
Want to convict him. But they don't
Right.
win. So he's cleared of all charges. And so Dumbledore's like, great, thanks so much. Have a great day. And then just like walks out of the dungeon and is done. And that's the
He
chapter.
sashayed away and did not give a parting line.
No. And then I accidentally started reading the next chapter because I was like so invested that I was like, wait, what happens next?
What happens?
So I had to remember that I was like not doing that. So the chapter ends with Dumbledore leaving the dungeon. The courtroom.
Yes. Thank you, Adam. Thank you. That wraps up this chapter. Next week we'll be reading chapter 9 called The Woes of Mrs. Weasley. We have a review. We have one.
What? We have a review.
The review title is Love These Two. Been listening and reading along with you guys for a while now. Just figured out how to write reviews. Sorry, I'm old. So glad you're back. You guys brighten up my Mondays.
And how many stars did she give us, Ari?
She gave us 5 stars.
Of course she did.
And D.
Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you, Stacy. Thank you so much for your kind words. We love hearing what you guys think. So please, someone else leave a review so Adam can read it next week.
On Apple Podcasts is where you can leave our reviews, guys.
Yes,
in case
on
you don't
Apple
know.
Podcasts. Yes, we should say that. You can leave reviews on Apple Podcasts. Do they take reviews on Spotify? Is that a thing?
You can rate it, but you can't review it.
Oh, okay. So yeah, reviews only on Apple Podcasts. Okay. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you find your podcasts, as well as video versions on the Ampliverse YouTube channel and Spotify. As always, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe so that we can get a perfect mute score, 5 stars only, or else you'll have to sit at a hearing to determine why you did a Patronus charm, even though the only reason the Patronus charm exists is to fend off a Dementor. So what kind of question is that?
Right.
And don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at HBAnxious or YouTube and TikTok at the Ampliverse. We are hosted on Anchor and recorded on Zencaster, so thank you to both of them. And are a proud member of the Ampliverse, which just recently hit 2K subscribers on YouTube. All you need to know is we're a proud member of the Ampliverse. Check them out at theampliverse.com. Thank you, Adam.
You're welcome.
And as always, monocle.